Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and energy and vitality. Now, the first thing, as far as astrology and energy level goes, I look at the rising sign or ascendant. The ascendant rules the physical body and can be associated with one's vitality as well. Now, someone with a Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius ascendant, which are the fire signs, of course, can have a very strong abundance of energy, and they're often very energetic and have good vitality. Aries is often very active and energetic. They seem to always be on the go. Leo rising, has a very exorbitant energy level. They could be nearly indefatigable and inexorable as far as their energy goes. Now, air rising signs or ascendants can have a little bit less energy and vitality. Earth signs generally have a strong constitution. As far as earth ascendants, I should say, earth ascendants can have a rather strong constitution, generally speaking, and can have at least adequate energy, but not, I don't think, as much as the fire signs on average. Now, fire sign ascendant people. Now, the water sign ascendants, now, collectively, with the exception of Scorpio, can have diminished energy, and their energy may be a little dissipated. Cancer is not known to have a very strong or robust constitution. Their energy level is rather minuscule, and Pisces as well. Pisces, of course, is not exactly known for having really an abundance of energy, and their energy levels are generally lower than average. Scorpio, I see them as the exception. Their energy level is usually pretty solid. I think maybe that has something to do with them not just being ruled by Pluto, but being ruled by Mars as well, which is a planet of action. And Mars, of course, in astrology is connected with one's vitality. So anyway, now also the sun in a natal chart can play a role as well, but I think the ascendant is stronger in terms of the energy level and vitality of an individual, because it's the more the association with one's physical body. Now, let's take an example with somebody that has a certain sun sign and ascendant, and how this might work in terms of one's vitality energy level. Let's take somebody that has they have the sun in Leo and a Pisces ascendant. Well, how could that manifest? Well, the thing about it is, Leo's sun energy, the sun is a little bit more like it's like more the creative energy, but it could still, I think the sun could still factor in one's vitality. So the sun would be good in Leo as far as that goes. But the fact is, if the person has a Pisces ascendant on top of it, that energy level, I would see, would be considerably lower than the typical person with a Leo sun. It would be much lower as far as in contrast. Let's say if somebody had a Leo sun and Leo ascendant, or a Leo sun and Aries ascendant. So the energy level would, I think, in most cases would certainly be less, unless there were, of course, contraindicators in one's natal chart. Now, another thing is that Mars, of course, can play a significant role, I believe, in one's energy and vitality. Now, Mars, say if somebody has Mars in Cancer, well, Mars, of course, is in its fall in Cancer, and the energy might be a little bit dissipated with Mars in Cancer. I have Mars in Cancer in my natal chart, and I also, I have Taurus rising. That helps a little bit. My sun sign is Cancer as well, but with Taurus ascendant, of course, I have a little stronger constitution and a little bit more energy level, I would think, and endurance than the typical sun in Cancer. But Mars in Cancer is not, of course, the best place for energy if you're just looking at the Mars position. So the thing about it is, too, I also have Mars conjunct the Sun, so I think that helps a little bit as well in terms of my energy levels. So anyway, The thing about it is, another thing I want to talk about as far as energy in a natal chart. Now, planets in the 12th house can indicate diminished vitality, especially I think if the Sun and or Mars is in one's natal 12th house. The Sun being associated more with the creative energy, where the Mars is more associated with the general energy and vitality. Now, the thing about it is, when we look at Mars, now if you take Mars, so let's say somebody has Mars at that anaretic, that 29th degree. Well, 29 degrees in Mars could suggest either a surfeit of energy or a minuscule amount of it. I think a lot depends on the sign and aspects that are made to it. Now, the thing about it is, if you have let's say that Mars is in a more energetic sign, I think that would help, like Leo or Aries. Of course, Cancer, Pisces, it would be a little bit lower. If you have, and I think also when you look at 29 degrees, I mean, in the energy and vitality of an individual, you could also look at the ascendant and sun, because as I stated before, the ascendant can be connected with one's vitality as well, due to the correlation, the correspondence with the physical body, and also the sun, though might more the creative energy, it's still energy nonetheless. So 29th degree, say somebody with Leo rising like Donald Trump, I would suspect he has a very exorbitant amount of energy, and he also has Mars in Leo conjunct his ascendant, so I see him as fairly energetic person. He's probably not very short on any energy or vitality. Now, anyway, another thing too, I want to talk about it a little more as far as an example in someone's chart that goes a little bit more than just the sun and the ascendant, like I was talking about before in that Leo Sun Pisces ascendant example. I want to talk about a number of things, how by looking at the overall picture you might be able to determine and ascertain one's energy level in their natal chart. Now, I have a friend, it's interesting, she has her sun in Aries. Now the sun, sun in Aries, of course, could be very active and energetic and can have a lot of vitality if you just look at that by itself. However, I think her energy level is a little bit less than the typical sun in Aries because she has the sun in the 12th house. She also has Mars in the 12th house, and it's intercepted in the 12th house in Taurus, in its sign of Mars, and of course in Taurus is in its detriment. So, and also she has Gemini rising, and of course Gemini, the sign Gemini, is going to have a little bit less vitality on average than Aries, so you have to factor that into the equation. So anyway, another thing too is looking at Mars just in general as far as the aspects go in the chart. Now, if Mars has predominantly good aspects in a natal chart, energy may be used positively and productively. If Mars makes a lot of plethora of adverse aspects, then the energy may not be used as constructively and productively. Now let's take a specific example. Specific aspects, of course, to Mars are important as far as how this energy may be going. Now, and of course the Sun and the ascendant as well. Now, Mars, though, let's say that Mars in a natal chart is making an adverse aspect to one's natal Neptune. Well, this person might be somewhat lethargic, lackadaisical, and they may fantasize more about taking action as opposed to actually doing it. Now, transits to a natal chart can be significant as well as far as energy levels go. Now, if you take transit Mars or the Sun to one's natal 12th house, that energy level person might be feeling more lethargic than usual, and their energy might be dissipated at that time of the transits. Now, also, take another example. Let's say, take a positive example. Let's say that transit Jupiter makes a conjunction to one's Sun, ascendant, or Mars. Well, this can expand and enlarge the energy level of the person at that particular time of that transit conjunction. And I mean, the Jupiter would give a lot of more exuberance and enthusiasm about doing things. And especially I think with Mars, because Mars is that action planet and about taking action. And anyway, now progressions and someone's progressions can be significant as well. Now, let's say, for example, and progressions may last a little bit longer, of course, in so as opposed to what you have in your natal chart or transits. I'm sorry, I should say as opposed to transits. Now, you look at, for example, let's say that somebody has their progressed Sun, Mars, or Ascendant and go from Pisces. Say Pisces was the natal position and goes into Aries by progression. Now, then at that point in time, the person might feel a little bit more energetic and active more than usual during that time, and it might give a little bit of increase in that person's physical energy, so in stamina. Anyway, let's take another example in a progressed chart. Let's say that somebody has Mars sextile or trine Saturn by progression. Well, this could be a very good period for the person to be completing a number of tasks using disciplined energy and understanding how to pace themselves and really using that energy in a very disciplined manner and into being able to say disperse their energy evenly using such and such energy for this and then for that, so on and so forth. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment for astrology and energy and vitality. Stay tuned next time. I'm going to start a new series on zodiac signs and fears. I'm going to start off with Aries fears, then Taurus fears, etc. till I go through all 12 zodiac signs. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.